Hi guys, this is Shelley over at the Complete Combatant, and I write a monthly article for Shooting Illustrated. I am dyslexic, so I like to do a video of an article that I've written in the hopes that maybe if you have a learning style that's similar to mine, that this may help you retain or even recall information quicker. So here we go. This one is called Reactionary Zones. This is part 3. This one is from January 2024. What to do when it's the wrong time to get up close and personal. In the past 2 months, Shooting Illustrated has published 2 articles focusing on understanding the Complete Combatant's concept of reactionary zones. Part 1 focused on the most amount of time to react, act, and respond to a threat. The most distance is around 25 feet and beyond. We often say that distance equals time. So this zone gives us the most distance and time to make a really good first decision. Part 2 focused on some amount of time to react, act, and respond to a threat. We consider 12 to 25 feet the sum zone. I personally think this is the hardest zone to manage because at 25 feet, you can usually just move with purpose to avoid a threat. But as that threat moves closer to you, your decision to avoid needs to be made pretty darn quickly. Today, part 3 focuses on the last reactionary zone that truly gives you enough time to process what you are seeing, make a decision, and then move into action to respond. Scenario. It's a crisp January night. You have just had an outstanding dinner with some friends, and now it's time to say goodbye. Everyone is getting bundled up, farewell hugs are given, and everyone is extending well wishes as the new year begins. Everyone is parked in different areas of the lot, but the parking lot area is still full of cars, and it's very well lit, so you are a bit careless. Just as you reach your vehicle, and an apparent unarmed man jumps out from behind one of the cars that is parked close to you, aggressively asks you for money, and starts walking towards you. What do? When it comes to the concept of reactionary zones, there are very many brilliant people that play a part. Edward T. Hall was a large influence to me because of his research on the natural distance maintained between people when they are communicating. Edward T. Hall is a cultural anthropologist who specializes in proxemics that are maintained by healthy, adult, middle-class Americans. He wrote a book called Hidden Dimensions that explains proxemics and the difference in distance awareness between many cultural groups. There are several aspects of proxemics. The one that Hall writes about is the distance between people when they are communicating. Hall named his 4 distances: public, social, personal, and intimate. The Complete Combatant has named our 4 reactionary zones: most time to react, some amount of time to react, least amount of time to react, and no time to react, or no choice zone. In Reactionary Zones Part 3, we will be focusing on the Complete Combatant's least amount of time to react distance. Per Hall, personal distance ranges from 1 to 4 feet. He considers this distance zone as as long as arm's length, and explains how the subjects of personal interest can be discussed while physical contact, which he's talking about is holding hands. It is also interesting to note that Hall did not spend large amount of time talking about violence options in proxemics, but he does mention that topic in this zone, when you are close enough to hit another person in the nose. Because of Hall's framework, we now know that people can feel the pressure of whether a person belongs in this specific zone, distance, or space. In self-protection management, we can use his research to our advantage by measuring the violence options available to the bad person, while measuring the options available for us to react, act, and respond. Now let's switch gears from healthy adults to criminals. The least reactionary zone is 6 to 12 feet from you. That is from you to the bad guy. Gives you the least amount of time to react. Not the most amount of time in part 1. Not some amount of time from part 2. But the least amount of time in part 3. There are some things to consider in the least amount of time distance. And here are some bullet points. In this zone, you have just enough time to make a really good first decision if you are ready for the fight. If you have trained and practiced self-preservation options, tool cycling, and have decisions in place before you need them, then you could be one step ahead of that bad dude. You have the least amount of time to gather more information, like look at his hands, any movement towards his waist, are his hands hidden, is he targeting you? You have every right to verbally manage him, which means you can speak to him directly if the event calls for such things. This is a verbal scale of escalation that helps you with managing potential threats. They have every right to be there, or they have no right to be there, depending on their actions, body language, etc. At this distance, you could be in immediate danger. If a bad guy is in shape, he can run and cover 12 feet in less than a second. The average stride is 3 feet. That means at 12 feet, the bad guy can take 3 steps and grab you. Most quality pepper sprays can reach up to 12 feet. It can be very hard to gauge distances quickly and accurately. So here's a quick measurement. Did you know that a twin mattress is roughly 75 inches? So that's just a hair over 6 feet. That means if you can imagine the length of one twin mattress or twin bed, that's going to be roughly 6 feet. Can you imagine 2 twin mattresses or twin beds? Guess what? That's 12 feet. So if you are in shape, you may have time to run away at 12 feet, but there's probably not enough space to decide what to do, to turn, and to run if they're closer to you. Putting an obstacle or barrier in between you and the bad guy can give you time to get to a tool. Your decisions must be explosive and immediate in this least amount of time zone. Now let's get back to that scenario. Just as you reach your vehicle, an apparent unarmed man jumps out from behind one of the cars that is parked close to you, aggressively asks for money, and starts working his way towards you. You determine that he is much more than just an average panhandler and must be dealt with appropriately. Your guard may be down, but long ago you made the decision to have your pepper spray in your dominant hand and a small flashlight in the other when you are alone at night. You have no problem handling these tools on a cold winter's night because you've practiced deployment, aim, and application with gloves on. You know that cars in between you will slow him down, but there's still no time for you to ask him to go away or tell him to go away. So you move right into making him go away. You scream, "Get away from me," as you blind him with your flashlight and immediately follow up with pepper spray across the eyes to stop him in his tracks. Then you run safely back into the restaurant. You are the hero of your own story. You made decisions in advance. You practiced verbal commands and different tools. You knew your pepper spray would reach up to that 12 feet, and you understood how those obstacles could be used in your favor. Way to go. Now, next month's article, we will focus on Hall's intimate distance and the Complete Combatant's no time or no choice zone. Thanks, guys, for listening. And thank you so much for Shooting Illustrated, for all the opportunities you've given me over this last year and a half. Have a great day, guys. Bye.